Today on The Occult Detective, it's a fantastical and magical, mystical book haul. As is often the case on a Friday, I have a bunch of books to show off after a week of working in the book warehouse. So I did pick up some interesting things. I'll fly through a couple, spend a little more time on others. Just real quickly, this was a beaten and battered copy of Kingdom Come, classic graphic novel from Alex Ross and Mark Waid. Like I said, it's been around the block, but for a copy to keep at work to read on occasion, does the job. What else do we have? How about something a little adventurous? Picked up a stack of Mr. and Mrs. North novels by Francis and Richard Lockridge. These are terrific. Love the covers. I read a few of these when I was a kid, so it's nice to have a nice little selection of them now to read through. I'm thinking maybe Garbogast, Dead as a Dinosaur. That's great, isn't it? Oh, and I did end up with 2 copies of Murder Within Murder. So if anybody out there is interested, drop me a line. By the book and The Long Skeleton. Terrific little collection. They're great, thrillers in that classic pulp vein. So those will be fun to tear through. What else do we have? A little something that feeds into my love of Gothic romance. It's Grey Gallows by Barbara Michaels. Terrific little cover there. Love the back cover blurb. The blackened shell of the house still stands on the edge of the moor. Ivy has crept over the rough stone, veiling the ugly marks of fire, blurring the stark squares of emptiness that once were doors and windows. That's great. It's really looking forward to that. Here's something a little different. From Thorne Smith, The Ribald Story of a Shy Millionaire Who Married a Witch. It's The Passionate Witch. A little risque cover, but it's got little fanciful illustrations, and I thought it was a little too cute to pass up, so we'll see what this has for us. Garbogast? I mean, come on, really. What else do I have? Fantastic Worlds, Myths, Tales, and Stories, edited by Eric S. Rabkin. In this book, you'll find Lovecraft, Poe, Tolkien, Vonnegut, Hawthorne. It is chock full, and it runs the gambit of speculative fiction, and it's got sections on myths, fairy tales, ghost stories, heroic fantasy, modern fantasy. Just a terrific anthology, nice and brickish, and just chock full of just some terrific stories, all collected under one cover. And along that vein, we also have another anthology, one of the volumes of Conjunctions. In here, you've got Gaiman and Marvell and Straub and Gene Wolfe, and just like all these just terrific authors. So again, a nice collection of stories all bound under one cover. And Conjunctions, this was a big deal back in the day. A lot of good stuff. And anytime you can put authors like that all under one roof, well, that's just a nice evening of short story reading. What else do we have? Well, there was a hardcover of Dr. Sleep. I read this when it came out on Kindle, so nice to pick up a hardcover of that. What else do we have? How about Secret Societies? So this is kind of fun. It's like a little encyclopedia of organizations. It's got the all the usual players are present. The Priory of Sion, the Oddfellows, the Freemasons, the Molly Maguires. Yeah, just a neat little quick handy resource. Stick it on the shelf back here behind me at work, and if I need some quick information, there it is at my fingertips. I do like to look through books more than scour the internet for information, just because I like the tactile feel of my hands on the book. I will leave you with this kind of odd pickup for me, but I was kind of curious as to what it would have to say. This book is called Feeding Demons. It is rather beat up and bent and been around the proverbial block. This is a detailed expose on how believers open and can close the door to demonic spirits. So what we have here is basically a Christian examination of exorcism, of how they can inadvertently invite demons into the world and how to return them to the nether realms. So yeah, like I said, kind of curious as to what they have to say about it in here. Definitely not my flavor, but always curious to see what other people think in that line of work. So yeah, that was a decent haul. I'm really looking forward to the Mr. and Mrs. North books. I have very fond memories of reading those when I was a kid growing up. I've talked before about how I grew up on the edge of my grandparents' farm. We lived in this little gully in a trailer, and my mom was a big reader, and a sizable library. There was a room. Essentially what they did was they bought a trailer for me and my brother, and we're talking, I think we got it when I was maybe 6-7 years old. So they backed the two trailers up to each other and kind of connected the doorways, the front door of one to the back door of the other. So they were kind of, staggered. And there was bookshelves all in one of the spare bedrooms that we weren't using, and it was just full of gothic romance, regular romance, some rather bawdy things, but also there was history books, science books, a little bit of everything. And so and quite a bit of pulp, detective thrillers and those kind of things, just anything they picked up here and there. And the shelves were just littered with these things. And being a voracious reader, I read all of it, so that's where my love of gothic romance came from, and my love of pulp thrillers. There was a lot of Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes, Mickey Spillane, that kind of stuff, so, and a couple of the Mr. and Mrs. North. So yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to reading through those. And yeah, so a lot of good books in this haul. So that's all I've got for you today. I've got a full weekend ahead of me. I hope to film a couple videos in a couple of haunted locations, and we'll see what pans out. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk again real soon.